We are live, final day number 4 here in Atlanta, SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame. My man, Trey Wallace here, of course, with Outkick. All this coverage brought to you by J.E. Dunn, by the way. If you're looking for a great place to work, top 100 healthiest place to work in the United States, 2022 voted best place to work in the state of Tennessee as well. So if you're looking for a new career, no matter your background, check them out, jedunn.com, bringing you all this great coverage. My man, Trey here. Josh just got done talking. Didn't say a whole lot, but the question I have is how different is he? His first year last year, no experience in the SEC as a head coach. Now he's here and he's got a winning season and a lot of fans are excited about it. How different was he this year versus last year?
You know, I think the biggest part about it is, too, he didn't have to get up there and answer questions regarding the investigation going on to the program. I think that, you know, going into last year, he was nervous. How many questions could have come about that? What do I say? Do I keep saying speed bump for the program? I think now when you look back on it and what he did with the offense and how and he hit on it during his discussion. He talked about the Florida game. And if a lot of people don't remember what happened after the Florida game is, Tennessee decided to stop experimenting with wide receivers. They went with their core. You know, they went with Cedric, Valus, Javonte Payton. So they got comfortable with the offense. And I think the way that you look at it right now with what he has and what he has talked about is there are expectations on offense. Defense, fans know what you're getting. But when you look back to last year compared to this year, he's more comfortable because he already knows what he has. And the biggest thing, too, is remember, last year, like Joe Milton, there was talk, okay, well, Joe Milton's going to be the guy. Joe Milton's going to be the guy. Nobody was talking about Hendon Hooker, who now is the talk of media days, at least on Thursday.
So we'll start with the quarterback then, because I find it interesting because I think – I mean, again, the most efficient season in the history of Tennessee football last year. So I think it's hard to ask him to replicate that. Now everybody's going to have film on him and all the defenses will have seen him, but he will have an entire offseason as the guy running the offense as the guy. So what are your expectations for the offense? I think we've got a pretty good base layer, but is 43 points a game reasonable, or does it need to be – do people need to temper their expectations on offense?
You know, I think that points are kind of reasonable, 35, 41, whatnot. It all depends on what defense you're going up against. But I look at Hendon Hooker overall. This is a guy who's going to have command. He's confident in what he's doing. Look when he came into the game last year against Pittsburgh. Almost brought Tennessee back to win. They go on the road to Florida. Things didn't go well at Florida. But then they come back and they start playing just better football. It's because he became a leader. He stepped up in the locker room. People could come to him. He was a voice. Given a whole offseason to do that, it kind of sets up for success this year. Yes, they lost some receivers from last year, some running backs, whatnot, but you're still bringing back Jabari Small. You've got Jalen Wright. You got Justin Williams in there you could put in. There are a number of players that are going to be able to help him out. And I think that's the key thing because Josh Heupel, another thing too is they didn't really know how to trust Hendon Hooker last year during the season. They didn't know what they were getting, and they've admitted to that numerous amount of times. So I think now the fact that he's been able to be that guy since the end of the season, and then you go into the full off season and summer workouts, I think that's going to be huge for him, but also for the offense in whole. Tennessee's going to have to outscore some people this year. Defense is not going to be, the caliber that Georgia, Alabama, A&M, others are running with. So if they can somehow try to outscore the Kentuckys, the South Carolinas, and whatnot, maybe you can throw an upset in there, then you'll have success.
I'll get some I have some specifics if I could speak here about the defense. I want to ask you in just a second. But the players themselves, I mean, you got Trey Flowers, Cedric Tillman, Hendon Hooker. You've already talked a little bit about them. How much of their personality, because my favorite part of this event is the players, getting to know them getting to tell their stories. We've had so many great examples already this week, but those are 3 really exceptional young dudes. So what is it about those guys? Like, do you think that the Josh Heupel, Coach Dad sort of honesty, transparency thing, do you think that is now translating to the players and the players are now representing that same kind of culture?
I think that when you have players like Cedric Tillman, when you have players like Hendon Hooker, you can go on, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. I think that they're more laid back, as you can tell, than they were under Jeremy Pruitt. Is what it is. 2 different regimes, but they're more laid back. And they can, honestly, you can go out, you know that you can make those mistakes and try to build upon them. Or if you made a mistake in a previous regime, okay, you might hit the bench. Somebody else is going to come in, and then you're losing time. I think overall the way this team is put together and the players and their attitudes and the way that they look at things, that's going to be a positive for Tennessee going forward because they've been – look, a lot of these guys have been down that boat. Cedric Tillman's been in it where things have just gone horribly wrong. But now you come back and you're like, okay, I got my quarterback. I got an offensive line. Got some running backs. Okay, we could do something on offense. Tight end. Like they have talent tight end. Jacob Warren, Princeton Fant. Yeah. So I think this is just something for them attitude-wise. They understand that they'll be able to do certain things this year they weren't last year. Yeah. And I think when you have these guys representing the program and how, calm and relaxed they are, but you also know what you're getting out of them. I think that's very big, and especially for what Tennessee's trying to do this season, which is take the next step forward, not drop a step back.
That quiet confidence you see sometimes here at Media Days with a group of players, and I think Tennessee certainly has that. All right, defensively, a couple of nice pieces on the outside on the defensive line in Barron and Young, completely rebuilt secondary. Every time I talk to anybody here, it's okay, there's some chances that the front seven is pretty solid. There's some nice pieces up there. They could develop. They could be good. Certainly good defensive line coach. But I think everyone eventually lands on the secondary. And what are we going to see out of Tennessee in the secondary? And is that the biggest concern for you?
I mean, defensive line maybe is the biggest concern. Outside, I don't know. There's a couple. Linebacker might be too. Trayvon Flowers is here. He should be able to help out in that secondary. Tank McCullough. Guys like Christian Charles, younger guys. Tennessee has depth at that position. It just depends on who they're using and what position they're using them for. Star position, you're going to put them out, play them in the nickel, or you're going to throw them on the corner. Who replaces Alontae Taylor? Like, those are certain things that you have to look at here. I think linebacker, to me, is where there's been a problem. Where you have Jeremy Banks, okay, but he is just a go-getter. You've got Juwan Mitchell coming back, the Texas transfer. Maybe he'll play more than he did last year. You've got Aaron Beasley. You've got linebackers that can help this team, but the problem is it's all a bit about scheme. And then the fact, too, is, and you know this, Tennessee's offense is on the field for 2 minutes. Okay, what kind of depth do you have when these guys get blown out and tired? Same could go for the defensive line. You've got parts on the defense. On the edges, I think Tennessee's going to be great. Byron Young, Tyler Barron. They'll be able to get after the quarterback, but what kind of push can they get up front? I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Rodney Garner's got his work cut out for him when it comes to the defensive line.
Yeah, I think last in offensive time of possession last year in the entire country. That doesn't help your dudes running around on defense. I'll let you go here. Again, Trey Wallace, Outkick. Make sure you check out the website. Make sure you check out the Twitter account, all that great stuff. Obviously, all of our content this week brought to you by J.E. Dunn. Again, strange concept, and actually Josh Heupel represents this. Care about the people in your business. J.E. Dunn, they care deeply about the people in their business. They have industry-leading benefits, industry low levels of turnover. So jedunn.com if you want to change a career. Again, doesn't matter what your background is, they can find a place for you. And again, just like Josh Heupel, honesty, transparency, and taking care of the people around you like you care. It's a crazy concept.
Works, right?
So just real quickly here, we'll wrap up with the schedule because I do think that Tennessee will win the games that they are like 7, 8, 10-point favorite. They're going to win. They're not going to lose those games. They're not going to win the games that they're going to be a heavy underdog in. I don't think there's upsets there, but they got a lot of games right in the middle where that's going to be small spreads. Pittsburgh, LSU, Kentucky, maybe Florida as well. I see. I'm not buying South Carolina, but
I know, but it wouldn't surprise me if somehow that Spencer Rattler gets hot and somehow they're a 1 or 2 point favorite. You never know.
So I think the key to finishing second in the East, because I think Kentucky and Tennessee are going to play for the East. I think it almost comes down to Pittsburgh and Kentucky. Tell me what you think about the theory. If they lose to Pittsburgh but beat Kentucky, they finish second. If they beat Pittsburgh but lose to Kentucky, they same record, but they could finish third. What are the 2 or 3 games you think will most define the season?
You know what? I honestly think it's at Pittsburgh. And people ask me, okay, well, what do you think Tennessee's biggest game of the schedule is? I think it's the second week of the season. I think if you want to get things rolling in the right direction and stay there because you got Florida coming up at home, don't go drop that game at Pittsburgh. Like, that's a game you can go up there and win. I know what Pittsburgh's doing on offense and who they have at quarterback, and I get that. But that should be a game Hendon Hooker should go up there, redemption, go beat them there, take care of business, and then you come home 2 weeks later, you get the Gators. If you go up there and you're 1-1, and then you're 2-1 coming back and playing, I forgot who the middle game was, then you're playing Florida. Now you're setting up in a stance where, okay, well, man, we wish we could have done that. The season would have been kind of different. I think when you look at it, the Kentucky game is huge. That undoubtedly going to be at home, be very big. I think South Carolina is big. That's just my opinion because of what's going to happen with Georgia and Alabama. Because I think they can hang like they did last year in Tuscaloosa for a while with Alabama. Then they
for 3 quarters and
then they break away in the fourth quarter because they're worn down. I think you're going to see a lot of that this year with Tennessee, but it would not surprise me if Tennessee wins 8 games. Wouldn't surprise me if somehow they pulled out 9 games, 9-3, something along those lines. But it all depends on 2 games. To me, it's Pittsburgh and Florida in the month of September, because from then on we're going to see, okay, how does this team respond? We saw last year they responded after the loss at Florida, went on and played some good football. Might not have won all the games, but played good football. That's a big one for me.
And how does this team handle now having an entire offseason of expectations is very different than what it was last year as well. I also think the most underrated game in the entire conference this year for every single team, all 14, Tennessee at LSU could define both seasons for both teams. Obviously, you know, in Death Valley is a ton of fun. They only get to play there like once every 14 years, and we all remember the last time they were down there. So I think it's going to be one of the best SEC football games the entire season. Trey Wallace, everybody, Outkick. Check out his work. Check him out on the Twitters as well, jdunn.com. My name's Braden Gall. Thanks for hanging out with us again here live from Atlanta. This has been Fringe Element on the 440 Sports Network.